Good morning. I am 5 minutes earlier today, and oh my god, look at this beautiful reflection of the sunrise. And oh my goodness, there is even a rainbow. This is so pretty. Unbelievable. Anyway, if you're watching in recording, you're welcome to fast forward a few minutes or just enjoy this rainbow, these beautiful clouds, the light reflecting the sunrise, and stay with us as we say hello. Good morning, Sandra. I want to draw your attention to the gorgeous rainbow to the right of the clouds. Been watching it for the past 5 minutes, so beautiful. Good morning, Ari. Isn't that so pretty? Do you see the rainbow right to the right of the clouds? I know on the video it doesn't look as bright as I can see it, but I hope it still shows well. Good morning, Zazu. Oh my god, I just realized that I forgot to put my earphones. I'm surprised you can hear me, but let me put them on. Can you please tell me if you hear me now? You didn't screw anything up by putting them on? I assume it's a yes. I hope it's a yes. Thank you, Sandra. Perfect. Thank you, Zazum. All right. So it's time for us to start. And I just want to touch on something before we go into our practice. Yesterday, we did a practice on feeling content. And I really appreciated, Zazu, that you shared your very insightful experience. And I don't know, everybody, if you read, if you already saw it in the comments, but this is what Zazu wrote. One would think that contentment would be an easy and relaxing feeling to embody, but for me, it was impossible. And I feel that it's really brilliant because it reminds us once again that we cannot expect anything to be a certain way. And we can never assume that some emotions are universally easy versus universally challenging. As Azul says, one would think that feeling content would lead to a relaxing sensation, but it didn't for her. And I know for sure she's not the only one. This reminds us that kind of shoulding ourselves into any particular mold doesn't work, that we feel what we feel. And that's simply the way things are. One of my favorite examples of this is how we are conditioned to believe that we must feel grief when somebody close to us dies. Well, at least in the West, that is our common belief. But a lot of times, it's really much more complex than that. It's a whole bag of feelings that we may feel. Grief may not even be close to the biggest of the emotional experiences we feel at the moment. There may be a certain relief if you were the main caretaker and your life has become really challenging as a result of this person's prolonged illness, for example. Or there may be even a sense of happiness for the person that their suffering is over. There may be so many things that are not grief, and that's completely normal. But if we don't feel sad at a funeral, we start to think that something is wrong with us. We must be callous and horrible because we should feel a certain way, and we don't. The good news is that we can cultivate being okay with the way our emotions unfold, even if it goes against our conditioned perceptions of how things should be. And with time, with practice, little by little, this general okayness with life the way it is may turn into a more spacious feeling of contentment. Anyway, today, let's explore the embodiment of another emotional experience, feeling overwhelmed. Brené Brown, in her book Atlas of the Heart, writes, overwhelmed means an extreme level of stress, an emotional and cognitive intensity to the point of feeling unable to function. The Merriam-Webster dictionary describes overwhelm as being completely overcome, overpowered by thought or feeling. And we all know that feeling that washes over us and leaves us completely unsure of what to do next. Even when people ask us, how can I help? What can we do? Responding with any type of organized thought feels completely impossible in those moments. John Kabat-Zinn, a famous Zen teacher, describes overwhelm as the all too common feeling that our lives are somehow unfolding faster than the human nervous system and psyche are able to manage well. And interestingly, he suggests that the antidote, the cure for overwhelm, sorry, is not problem solving in that moment, but rather doing nothing, or as he calls it, non-doing. And that makes a lot of sense. There is even a whole body of research that indicates that we don't process other emotional information accurately when we feel overwhelmed. And this can result in poor decision making. Being overwhelmed is about our narrative of emotional and mental depletion. And there's just too much going on to manage anything effectively in that moment. So let's explore the embodiment of overwhelm today. Remember, we're doing these explorations that may feel quite heavy and unpleasant. We do it consciously to build a library of our body's responses to various emotional experiences. And it is very important because when we are more aware of what's going on with us, and when we are able to communicate it effectively to ourselves and others, life really becomes easier, more manageable, more spacious, more enjoyable. Before we start the actual practice, I want to remind you to use your judgment during this process. And if you don't feel resourced enough to deal with this topic right now, perhaps you can return to it when you're feeling more centered, less vulnerable. Anyway, take a comfortable position, and as always, take a few moments to settle in. Acknowledge all the circumstances of your practice today, both internal and external. Gently noting what you're labeling as internal experience versus external, what you feel as happening inside of you versus outside of you. Allow your breath to be soft, uncontrolled. Simply let your breath flow through your body as it wants to. And maybe you can notice how your body responds to your breath. Select the primary anchor for your practice, which can be your breath or any other sensation in your body that is easy for you to come back to every time you notice that you're not here anymore, that your mind is wandering. And now remembering that you're in a safe environment for an exploration, think of a time when you felt completely overwhelmed, or maybe you are in the state right now. As you bring to mind all the details of the situation, start noticing what happens in your body. There is no judgment. See if you can stay with your direct experiences, even if it's just for a few moments at a time. Remember that right now you are a scientist collecting the data that flows through your body and mind. What are your physical sensations right now when you think of feeling overwhelmed? What's happening to your heart rate? Where in your body do you experience feeling overwhelmed in the biggest way? Is it a particular area in the body, or is it the whole body experience? Or is this feeling of overwhelm mainly experienced in your mind? So what are you thinking right now? Is there a fear that you're not going to be able to cope with life, and as a result something bad will happen? What do you think this something bad is? What's the worst case scenario for you? Are you even able to think clearly, or is it all too much? Remember, stay with your direct experiences without judgment. And if your mind wanders, it's completely normal, especially in this situation. So just gently bring it back. It's okay. If you could express your feeling of overwhelm through some pose or a movement, what would it be? And don't just think about it, actually do it. Do it with your body, do it in your body. Remind yourself that the antidote for feeling overwhelmed is non-doing, not problem solving. So see if you can soften your thinking process right now, just a little bit, around this overwhelming subject. See if you can stop trying to problem solve. Instead, take a few nice deep breaths and remind yourself that right now, in this very moment, you are here. You're breathing. Your heart is beating. So you're basically okay. There is nothing you need to do. Repeat after me. I am here. I am breathing. My heart is beating. My mind is working. So in this very moment, right here, right now, I am okay. There is nothing I need to do. As you go through your day today, I invite you to notice what makes you experience overwhelm. When do you cross this line from feeling a little bit stressed to this complete, total overwhelm, escalation? And when you notice these factors, if you can, stop, breathe, and remind yourself that in these situations, the best course of action is not problem solving, but actually doing nothing until your nervous system calms down and you can start thinking clearly again. I hope this exploration is useful for you, and I thank you very much for showing up so courageously to explore all these different emotional experiences. Have a beautiful day, and I hope it's gonna be without any overwhelm. And I will see you tomorrow.